Hello and welcome to the Damm podcast, season 4, which is also the first year anniversary of the Damm podcast. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. It's been a great year. But we're going to celebrate this special day with a special guest, friend of the show by the name of Iray Hamuli, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, man.
Oh, yeah.
This is really sick. This is dope.
I'm excited. So, first of all, how you doing?
I'm doing good. It's just the weather isn't doing all too well in the Netherlands, but we cope when we move.
We move on. Have you been dealing with the Dutch weather a long time?
Yeah, I grew up here, so then you would think that one would get used to the weather, but even after 20 plus years of being here, it's still tough.
Still detrimental. I mean, for me, for example, it's I've lived here for 10 years. I will never get used to it.
No, I can. 20 years now, and still not. Does not get any better at all. You still hope for it to get better, but it does not.
I mean, is the Netherlands the only bad weather country you've been in?
No. So I grew up here. I'm originally from Congo, actually, but I moved here when I was a baby. But then I lived in the UK for 3 years for my bachelor's. So I moved to Manchester for my business and marketing bachelor. Yeah. And so the weather in the UK is pretty much the same as here. So people first the initial idea was to leave the Netherlands because of the bad weather.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ended up in the UK, which is pretty much the same. So it's not that big of a difference really.
Mm-hmm. But did you enjoy living in the UK?
Yeah, Manchester was real good. It was a very big city as well, and super international too. And the people there, there's kind of a rivalry going on between the north and the south.
Ooh.
So if you're from the north, people always say people from the north are better. They're also nicer. And they tend to say that people from London can kind of be
spoiled brats.
But I think you get that with most capital cities where people just feel a type of way.
Yeah.
But no, it was pretty cool. It was a very good experience for sure.
Did you experience the football environment in the UK?
Yeah, so when you go watch a football game in the UK, it's different. It's different levels. I had the chance to watch the Bayern Man United game, the Legends game. They had a Legends game 2 years ago, I think. It was a whole experience. And it was my first time in a stadium in the UK as well. So then for me to be in the Old Trafford Stadium, I'm a Chelsea fan, but it felt it was pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. Did you go see Chelsea by any chance?
No, which is actually, I'm kind of mad about that.
Gotta go back?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely going back. I think I'm gonna plan something with my friends in April to maybe go watch a game, for sure.
Hell yeah, that sounds like a great idea. I mean, I have to go see Arsenal. Not that I'm a fan, but I like seeing teams lose.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. And then Arsenal is definitely the team.
Yeah, it's the team. The Gunners, gotta love them. But so to get to the actual juice of the podcast, so you're a fellow content creator, right?
Yes.
And you're actually a fellow podcaster. You're the first podcaster that we have on our podcast.
Oh,
so
sick.
Congrats for that.
Thank you.
But would you share with us what your production is all about in your own words?
Yeah, no worries. So, cheeky plug up here, The Throne Is Yours media podcast. So, we first started off the platform, a platform for artists and creatives to kind of help them create content and just kind of help them reach a larger audience. Because we have a lot of friends who are artists themselves as well, and so we didn't want to sit on the sidelines while they were creating music or just being creative. And so what we wanted to do was kind of provide them with the tools that they need in order to excel. So then more people can create their songs, and more people can just kind of see or get to know who they are. Mm-hmm. And so the company is actually run by 3 people. It's myself, Kevin Capelao and Gonzalo Fonseca. And so we've known each other since high school, and Kevin came to us with the idea. And so just here, all 3 of us do different things. So Kevin creates the content, so anything that you've seen from our podcast or cover photos he does. He also creates he created the website and everything as well. And then Gonzalo is our guy behind the scenes, cameras, editing, and all of that, sound and everything. And then myself, like I'm in front of the camera most of the time, but then also just part of like the promotion side of things. Because like yeah, I did business and marketing in
Exactly, you're the man for the job.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But would you say you're more like music oriented or just?
So at the moment we are just music. We're just currently helping music artists, but then we believe that once the company starts to get bigger and bigger, that will definitely like branch out to different creatives as well. Because we think that yeah, everyone kind of deserves a platform and like deserves to have a voice in like everyone has a voice, and like for that voice to just be shared like with everyone and everyone. Like we think that everyone has like something interesting to say, so like why not give them like the space to do so.
Yes, and that is an honorable goal to try achieve.
Yeah, for sure.
We share that goal, so
Yeah.
we're on the same page.
Yeah, for sure.
But like, would you say that you help people that are primarily on like SoundCloud or people that are already like established in the music business?
So mainly just like before they're established, because like I think nowadays it is kind of easy to kind of go viral on like TikTok or something, but like we just kind of want to help the ones who don't know how to put their music on SoundCloud or don't know how to put their music on Spotify. And so like we can just kind of provide them with like the education of like how do you do that, how do you market yourself, like how do you even create content for yourself. So like the things that we also do for artists is like we help them create music videos, lyric videos, and also just like overall content for like their social media pages. And so like with the podcast actually, we started the podcast like mid-COVID just because like we couldn't really do anything else. And so with the podcast, we just kind of use it as a way for the people to get to know the artist. Because like there's the artist and then there's like the person behind the artist that you see online. And so what we found with the podcast is that like you can just have like genuine conversations. Like sure, there's cameras everywhere and they may be like a bit nerve-wracking. I'm a bit shaking now too. But like you're just kind of having a normal conversation, just getting to know the artist on camera, and then it also kind of provides like a personal feel for like the audience to kind of really get to know how the artist thinks, like what creative process went behind like a certain song, or like even why they're creating music.
But like when you meet an artist and then you re-listen to his music, do you listen to it differently than you did before meeting the person?
Oh, for sure. Actually, like one of our first artists, his name is Michael Echo, and like I've been listening to his music like since I met him, and then like he's actually like one of the last artists that we had on the podcast because we just couldn't manage to book him in for the podcast. But then like once you like hear his story and like hear what he's been through, like the music sounds a lot different because like you actually understand where he's coming from, and so it's just kind of like it gives the music a bit more like validity, like it sounds more real because you know where it's coming from. And like most artists that we work with, we enjoy their music as well. So like we wouldn't want to add anyone on the roster that we don't really like to listen to. And so like I enjoy just like plugging like artists that we work with because like I love their music too. So like I have most of their songs in all my playlists as well. So like it doesn't really feel like work because like I would regularly share the music that I'm listening to with other people as well. So yeah, just that.
So would you, like when you're looking for artists to have on, do you go on like SoundCloud or like just other platforms and just go scouting in that sense?
Yeah, literally that. Like I love listening to music. Like whenever, like all day long, like I have my speaker blasting music. So like the research process, like it's kind of like a hobby already. But then like a lot of it is also just like word of mouth. Like Michael will suggest us like an artist to maybe listen to, see if we like what they're doing. Or like we'll just go on Instagram, see like who's around, see what they're doing with their socials, and see whether there's like any value that we could bring to them. Because like there's a lot of artists out there. And so for us to want to work with someone, like we want to be working with people who are actually like driven, and they're actually like they inspire themselves to make music. Like they actually enjoy the process of like making music for themselves, and like there's no pressure for them to kind of be somebody else. Like they can just be their ultimate selves and just create music for themselves or to kind of just share their own like life experience.
Hey, are you interested in making your own podcast production just like ours? Well, you came to the right place. We partnered up with Buzzsprout to provide you guys a $20 Amazon gift card in case you guys sign up. Now, why are we doing it? Well, we actually love using Buzzsprout. We've been using it for a year and we've had a blast. They provide us with great analytics and statistics every time we upload something, and they works in a seamless and frictionless manner. We've never had a problem with them, and the directories have always worked. They broadcast to the vast majority, if not all of the major platforms for podcasts and for audio. So if you are interested, use the link down below in the description for that discount, and let us know in the comments if you do. And let's get back to the podcast. I mean, you also mentioned that you do music videos for specific artists. And out of personal experience, like I can vouch that it's expensive or at least time consuming. Like, how do you approach like a project like that? So if I'm an artist and I pull up and I'm like, yo, I got this song, it's a banger, like I need a music video. How would you go about it?
Well, like we would just kind of first like ask them like what is their vision for like the music video, and like sure, a music video can be expensive, but like we want to always be enjoying our time on set. You know, so like the money side of things is just like, we understand that most up and coming artists don't have 10K to spend on a music video either. And so like, even with like podcasting, like sure, you can have like a super expensive set and then your podcast can still be trash.
It's true.
So like there's no real point in, like there's no real need to have too much expensive things, but like we tend to usually just try to keep it simple and creative. And like, unless the artist doesn't love like the idea that we like come up with them, then okay, then we won't do it. But then like we'll always try to kind of just minimize the cost just so that like everyone is happy. But then we also want to make sure that like everyone on set is still like enjoying themselves and everyone's still having a good time. And like I think most music videos, you can have like the best music video just with your friends. And like if you're an artist, like your friends are not expecting you to pay them for being in their music video.
Exactly.
Like for me, I'll gladly be in anyone's music video if you want me to be there. Like I'll definitely support like your vision for sure. So like just to keep things simple and like to make sure that the artist is also still happy with like what we're creating or like what the vision is for the music video.
Do you take like each project individually? So like, do you have like a silver lining between all of them, or are they all very different from one another?
Well, like our roster right now is actually like all artists are kind of like different genres right now as well. So like every artist kind of has like different expectations as to like what they would want in their music video. So like Michael is more of like kind of sometimes disco, kind of like R&B, like sad music. Actually, recently he said his music is like music to cry to. So like you wouldn't need like the same set as like, we have an Angolan rapper called Okenio from Angola, and he's like, it's rap music. So like it's kind of like a different vibe, different set, and so like you'd be doing different things in like a music video for like a heartbreak song and to like a club banger or something.
That's true. I mean, it's kind of like, how do you go about like the planning of the thing? Because if you have a lot of people involved, like to manage, for example, a podcast production, I need to plan like months in advance. So I mean, for an event with several people involved, that's
it's been a struggle for real. Like it's difficult to make sure that everything goes to plan. But then what we've also realized is that like nothing ever goes to plan. So like as long as you can kind of expect and minimize the risk of the worst happening, like everything should be cool. But then like most artists that we work with, we've befriended as well. And so like the pressure of feeling like it's a client and company relationship is kind of like minimized. So like when we do like music videos, like everyone will literally be helping like out of the good of their own heart, you know. And so then like that also like takes the pressure off of us because we don't feel like we have to do everything, you know. But like we try to just keep an environment where like everyone can be happy and like everyone can enjoyed themselves and the experience. But like what we also have realized is that like managing a lot of people is tough. It's really tough. But then like you also just need to kind of have like a ranking, as in like, okay, so when the producer says this is the last say and that's done. There's no one else going to argue, and like as long as everyone like understands that and everyone's like respectful, then it's like pretty easy to just kind of keep things going.
To manage everything. I mean, you mentioned that you started the production during the beginning of COVID.
Yeah.
So I mean, to manage with that pressure as well, I mean, that can be a real challenge.
Well, like the podcast, like the first half of the podcast, it was just like we have two segments of the podcast actually. The Tune Is Yours podcast and the Everyday podcast. So like the Tune Is Yours is more like the music side of things, where we like interview artists, get to know them on camera, and just they get to share their story and like share their content and music. And then the Everyday podcast is just things that we think is important to just have conversations about. Like I love being in front of camera and just talking about things I care about. So like it's easy. And like my co-host Kevin, who's my partner as well, like for us to just have conversations about things that we find interesting. Like I feel like I've also gotten to know him better because of the conversations we've had on the podcast. And so with the podcast alone, it was very simple. Like the first couple of podcasts we started was filmed in the living room. So like we'd move everything out of the way and just make sure that like we are comfortable on the chairs, the frame is good, the lighting is good, and then we can start the camera. And so like the pressure of like needing like a big production for the podcast, like we knew that that's where we would want to go. But for now, this is all we have, so like this is what we'll do, and like we'll try to do our best with what we have. And so like we've just genuinely enjoyed the process along as well. And then like after each podcast as well, you feel like it gets easier every time. So like the first time you'd be sitting there just like shaking. You don't know whether you should look at the camera or like look at the person you're talking to. So like after like practice really does make perfect. So just like as long as like every single time you're trying to improve yourself, and like you even just ask people who've watched the podcast for like feedback, that keeps everything like, yeah, you just kind of keep seeing the progress, as in like how things are getting better.
Hell yeah. I mean, yeah, like I think the progress is the most important part, like in my opinion. I mean, what was it, the progress is the process, or the process is the progress? Like is it, it's like if you believe in your mission and you believe in putting in effort,
then
you're gonna enjoy it, like most of the time. I mean, when you, before you started it, what was the biggest like concern? Let's say, like when you were thinking how to conceptualizing your project, what was the biggest fear? Like that it wouldn't work at all, or that people wouldn't react?
Oh, what is the biggest concern? Well, like first you kind of have like this kind of thought of like, am I really gonna start a business? Like, am I gonna be that guy? But then like I've always had an interest in business, so like and like my dad has also kind of hammered it like don't do the 9 to 5. Like, he told me like, yeah, he got stuck in the 9 to 5, and it's been like 20 plus years now that he's had the same job. And so like he's also currently going through his own like journey of like changing that for himself. But like I think the main concern first was like, what will other people actually think of the company that we're creating? And then like we kind of thought of like, okay, but we're creating a platform for up and coming artists to help them improve themselves. If anyone is going to judge that, then like I don't really need you in my circle, and like your opinion actually doesn't really matter to me anymore.
Exactly.
So there's just that. But then the thing that we struggled with as well was actually trying to stay consistent with the work, because like when you start a business, there's no like grading system as to whether you're doing it well or not. And there's no real deadlines, or like the fear of deadlines that you do with like university or in school. And so like if we don't do work for 2 weeks, that means 2 weeks have gone by and nothing has happened. And no teacher or no one's gonna come by behind you to tell you like, yo, go do your work. So like you kind of have to also like keep yourself accountable, motivate yourself and like make sure that you know where you want the company to go. So like make sure that like you set your goals for every week or set your to-do list for every week, just to make sure that like every step that you're taking, you're still taking towards the goal that you want to reach. And then just the fact of like you see other companies around, and then like for example you post a podcast and then you see like the number of views on it and you're just like, damn, like am I is that me? Like is that really me? And then like you just kind of have to like filter out like the outside noise or like the noise that you've created for yourself even. And so just like right now we're generally really just enjoying the process and like just trying to stay consistent with like the work that we're doing.
I mean, if you could give a piece of advice to yourself before you started the production, what would it be?
Ooh, the piece of advice would be consistency. Like it doesn't even matter if you're doing a lot, but like if you're doing something every day, like by the end of the year you'll be a lot further than you are. So like, and then also just like prioritizing, like prioritize your time properly. Because like the company has been going for like 2 years now, but then like we've also like all three of us, we were doing like our degree, like we're all studying, like playing football, and like everyone kind of just has their own personal life as well. And so just knowing that like, okay, this is my business, this is my baby, and so on a Friday night, if we have things to do for the business, I'm not gonna go out instead. So like just kind of knowing where you should be spending your time and like prioritizing it for yourself. Because like the amount of money that like us as students that we spend on like drinks or like going out, if you invested all of that back into your business, we would be far. But then it's also just, yeah, it's a process of learning. Like only now with hindsight, I can see that. And like I can tell myself like, you go to work, stop drinking, stop going out. So like, you know, it's just, yeah, it's just like learning. Just keep learning. Actually, that's also
keep learning.
Just keep learning for sure, because like there's always more to learn. There's also always more that you could do to learn. So like just making sure that today you're doing more than you did yesterday, or at least today you're trying to be better than you were yesterday. So yeah.
That's great advice. Also, I mean, where are you willing to take The Throne Is Yours? Like, which direction? Are you going to expand on your current work?
So, funny thing is, we've actually gone international.
Hey, congrats. Congrats.
But even though it sounds super fancy, it's just because the three partners were currently all in 3 different locations. So Kevin, he's currently in Barcelona for his master's, and Gonzalo is in Prague doing like a film course. So like at the moment, we're all kind of just like gaining the skills and like gaining the knowledge in order to improve the company more. And so like right now we're in the process of like all of us kind of like building our own small team that we can create content with, like wherever we are. And so right now as well, like I've taken over like most of the podcast now, and we're doing the podcast in The Hague now instead of in Amsterdam. And so right now we're just trying to become that household name where people hear T2I Media, they think like, oh, they support artists, they'll support your local artists. And then even for like people who are like thinking of becoming artists, where we become like the name where it's like, oh, you should go check them out, like they can teach you something. Or like just to be the podcast of like, I was like every morning I'm listening to the TheThroneIsYourz podcast while I'm on my way to work or like going to the gym. So yeah, no, definitely become a household name.
Nice. I mean, have you thought of working with like the auditoriums or like the music academies?
Yeah. So actually, recently we did an event with in partnership with Henosis. It's like a company that kind of does the same thing, but they want to provide a platform for like international kids here in the Netherlands. And so we actually did an event in partnership with the Walk of Hope and Fawns 1818, I believe. And so in October or September, it was like Just Peace Month. And like it's kind of a big thing here in The Hague because it's like the political side of everything. And so we did an event where the artist performed like a song that had something to do with peace. So like what peace meant to them or something that was like peaceful for them. And then after each performance, I had a short conversation with each artist to kind of gain their insights as to why they performed the song they did, what the song means to them, and like what peace means to them, and like how they keep their inner peace, or like how they like keep peace within like their own like lives and everything.
I mean, it's quite interesting that you did it in The Hague. It's because The Hague also has the Peace Palace.
Yeah, no,
I mean, it is the peace city.
It's the peace city, no, for sure. So like now with how that event went, like we definitely do also want to branch out into like doing maybe talent shows, or just like hosting like some events where we can really provide a platform for artists. And that's actually also where like the name started from. Like The Throne is Yours. So like the throne is literally like for anyone who sits like on our podcast, like the throne is theirs, and like we just kind of provide them with the tools and the platform for them to share like their excellence, really.
I mean, would you say that, like when you say the throne is yours, this is like they express to you who they are as artists, or like what their mission is, pretty much?
It's a bit of both, really. Like we just want to be like the platform for them to excel. And so like a lot of artists even like they are super talented, but they themselves they don't know it.
Exactly, yeah.
And so like we kind of also want to be that support group that like provides you with the motivation when you don't feel like making music, or like you don't feel like your music is good enough. Like okay, sure, we can always work on things, but like we can always like keep pushing each other to do better or to be better for ourselves.
Do you have any specific projects coming up?
Right now, we're just focusing on the podcast, really. So, like, actually, if you know any artists that want to come on the podcast, like, just hit our DMs. But we also currently just want to do more events as well. So, like, just maybe like a talent show or just like some kind of club event or something. But then, like, yeah, we'll have to see what the Dutch government says about that.
That's great.
Because, like, whenever we try to plan something, the government shuts everything down. So, like, even the event that we did recently, like, it had to become an online event just because, like, we couldn't have too many people in, like, one space. And so, that, and then we also, since my partners now, they're in different countries, I think it'd be really cool if we did, like, a show or an event in like either place to just kind of get the word out there as well. And so like that's also why I'm here, just to kind of tell you guys about what we do. So,
exactly. I mean, actually, could you tell the audience how they could reach you? Like, would they go through the website to become a guest or to become an artist?
So the easiest way is to actually just either send us an email on TheThroneIsYourz@gmail.com. Or on Instagram, it's TheThroneIsYourz as well. And our website is TheThroneIsYourz.com. So like there's also a way where you can send us a message and like we'll receive it. Or even like you can jump in my personal DMs, like it doesn't, like any way, shape or form that you try to reach us, it'll definitely be, like we'll definitely get the message. Because like we've done everything to try and put our name on each platform so that like you don't have to search for like a different thing if it's like on something else, you know. So like if you just look up The Throne is Yours on anywhere, yours with a Z actually, you should be able to reach us and like find us easily.
Perfect.
For sure.
Well, now it's my favorite segment of the podcast. Long-time viewers will recognize this segment. It's the random segment. I ask you 5 questions and you answer them as best as you can.
Okay. I can't fail, right?
It's not a pass or fail. It's actually you pass either way. Just participation is good enough. So this question has gotten us, I think, 18 different responses, and all of them were different. The question is, what food would you eat for the rest of your life if you didn't, your health is not a concern, you won't have any repercussions, what would the meal be?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Actually, yesterday, my girlfriend and her sister made like some really nice like fish boil. Like it was just like, there was like crabs, there was shrimp, and there was fish, and like I usually wasn't the biggest fish fan, but like right now after that meal, I think I could definitely eat that.
Yeah, I was about to say like, so you're seafood oriented?
Yeah, right now, like I'm just trying to start something called Fish Food Friday.
Ooh, Fish Food Friday.
Like, yeah, I don't know whether my girlfriend or her sister would want to be in the kitchen for that long, like all that time, but like. Yeah, definitely for sure. I'll do that.
You can try get some recipes and cook up like, and then feature on the cooking show, Kill the Culture, season 2 coming up. Alright, the second question I'd like to ask you is, if you had to live somewhere for the rest of your life, paid for, where would it be?
Oh, where would it be? Oh, no wonder you get different answers.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, this one I got Korea twice and Japan twice. Those are the only ones that repeated.
They repeated.
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh. Thing is, like, once you live in a place for like a longer period, you kind of lose the touch of feeling like a tourist.
That's true.
And like, I think, like, I would probably, like, out of all the countries that I've been to, I'd probably pick Barcelona.
Nah.
Just cause, like,
Spain is just different.
No, exactly. And like, the weather will be good, like, all year round, and like the people are super nice. Everyone's like a little more relaxed, and like I feel like even after being there for like a couple of years, I'd still feel like a tourist in a sense, because like the country is a lot bigger than the Netherlands, so like, there'll still always be places that you feel like you haven't seen, or like it's just like different like culture, like different people. So like I think I'd pick.
Would it be Barcelona precisely or Madrid also? Like
Barcelona precisely.
Yeah. I mean, I've been to Madrid a couple of times, but I've never been to Barcelona. I gotta go.
Highly recommend.
Yeah. You already know. You already know. Alright, so this one's a more personal question. It's like, if you could choose your ideal job position, what would it be?
The one I have.
Perfect. That is the goal, ladies and gentlemen. That is the goal we want to achieve. The fourth question is, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Where do I see myself in the next 5 years?
Would you still be in the Netherlands?
It's actually crazy. I'm actually getting tired of the Netherlands, if I can say that on camera.
No, I feel you, man. Yeah.
Don't cancel me or anything.
I'll back you up on that one. We'll go down together.
Yeah, but where do I see myself? As in like work-wise, or like where I would be living?
Yeah, like where do you kind of envision, like would you, for example, would you go to the US to work there? Like
I see.
That sort of stuff.
Yeah, so like actually the last, like because I've lived my whole life in the Netherlands, and like only got to, like I've traveled the world, like I've gone to see the world. Like I kind of love like the thought of like being in a different place like every 2 to 3 years. Just so that like you kind of get out of your comfort zone and you can either go learn a new language, learn new culture, or like just eat like different food and things. And so like within 5 years, like since TheThroneIsYourz is already international now, I believe that by then it'll be global.
Exactly.
So, I think that like as founder and like podcast host, I would love to think that like by then we'll have like different headquarters like in different places. So that kind of depends on wherever like the three of us are, like wherever the team wants to be. That I'd be traveling like whenever, whether it's like to talk to clients or to like host a podcast show somewhere, and to just kind of like keep sharing the word of like what we're doing and like our values.
Are you planning on like converging like all the core team members back in one place, or are you still like keep it international?
It's a tough one, because like the way I walked into this office here today, like you guys have like most things here are orange, and like orange is also our color, and now I'm just like, damn, like we need an office, right? And the thing is, like now that we're all three in different places, like we probably would want to live in 3 different places too. So like the office, like well, how do you decide where the office is then gonna be? Even though like the network that we have here in the Netherlands is probably the best for that, and like as long as you can be making Dutch money, you could pretty much go live anywhere.
Yep.
So like it's just kind of just trying to figure out a way or like something that all of us would be happy with. But then like some of my partners, they also have like family here. I don't think they would mind having like a headquarters here either. But then like I think we would definitely have like multiple offices in like different places. But then also like the US, the US is where like dreams come true.
Yeah, it's true.
So like the Angolan artist that we have, he's actually based in LA. And so I think it would also just be cool for us to kind of expand that way so that like we can also kind of like improve our network there. And just also like I believe that most artists will kind of gravitate to moving to the US just because like it's the easiest way to blow up there.
It's true.
And so yeah, it just kind of depends on like who of us would be willing to go, and then I think like the world is our oyster, so like we could pretty much really go anywhere.
That's perfect, man. That's a dope mindset to have. Also, like, just another question, a personal question, then I'll ask you the last one. But are you thinking of gravitating towards like the trendy content, so like TikTok and all this, or are you planning on like remaining to the traditional content?
So like kind of a mixture of both, because like yeah, with trendy content is kind of the way that you get your word out there. But then I think if we like continue to stick to our values, that is actually what's going to help us blow up. Like and I think that like your network is your net worth. And so like I think as long as we like continue having these conversations and like keep inviting people over on like the podcast who are like pretty cool people, and have like really cool things to say, that will definitely still kind of maybe not be trendy, but like still become the trend, I guess.
Exactly, you're setting the trend 5 years before it happens.
Exactly.
That's the real art.
Exactly.
And then the last question would be, if you could choose any artist to work with in the near future, who would it be?
Oh.
Like anyone, no boundaries. It could be Post Malone, could be Drake, could be Kanye, could be I don't know, my boy Matthias, could be anyone.
Oh wow. Oh damn. Oh wow. I'm actually not never thinking.
Yeah, you gotta set the dream.
Yeah, no, for sure. Actually, funny story. So like, the artist's name is Russ.
Mm-hmm.
If you know him, so recently, like a couple months ago, like, I had a dream, right? And like we're like all partners were around, and like we're shooting something for Russ. Right? And like at some point like we're done working, blah blah, and like we're just chilling, we're going somewhere, we're all in the car. And then like at some point we realized like, yo, we manifested this. Because like our first podcast episode is an episode on Russ.
Perfect.
So like just the music that he creates and like the mindset that he's shared of like no one is going to do it for you.
It's true.
You have to work hard and set your goals and actually like strive towards it. And it's just kind of like that lion mentality of like just get it done. Like there's no real need to have excuses. Just go get it done. And so I think for sure it would be Russ.
So Russ, hit him up, website.
Yes, for sure. TheThroneIsYourz.
Yeah, exactly. You guys already know that. It will be in the description below, obviously. Do you have any final remarks for the audience?
Final remarks for the audience?
The camera is yours.
I see. I see what you did. That was sick. No, any final remarks? Like, maybe just a piece of advice is like, if it doesn't make you happy, just don't do it. There's no real point. Like, it's gonna impact you one way or another, like in the near future. And so, like, in anything and everything that you do, make sure that, yes, it will make you happy. And yes, that it will help you progress towards the goal that you want to reach. And consistency is key. So make sure they just stay consistent. And like I think actually Will Smith said it the best way. Like if you're trying to build a wall, you're not gonna build the whole wall at once. Like you just have to lay that like one brick at a time. And like as long as you lay that one brick at a time, like the best way you can, like the wall will be there in no time. So
That's great, man.
yes,
Well,
sure.
thank you for being the first guest of the first year of TDS and season 4, and for joining us, obviously. Thank you to the entire crew as always.
Yes,
and
thank you guys for having me.
no worries, anytime. You can find this link down in the description. Go follow him, go on the website, check it out. It's a great mission. We hope to work with you in the near future as well.
Actually, this is an extended invite for you guys to come on the podcast as well.
Yeah, already know.
For sure. Actually, already just tune in to the podcast because they're gonna be coming on for sure. And we'll definitely just keep the mission going.
Perfect. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be seeing you in the next one of the Damm Slap podcast. Till then.
Take care.